Hey guys, this is a volume of a cone. This is an 8th grade standard. So how do we find the volume of a cone? So if you recall, remember the volume of a cylinder, right? Volume of a cylinder was, what was it? You had a circular base, so you had to find the area of the base, right? Pi r squared times the height. For this one, if you look, the cone in a cylinder, you can tell that the cone has much less volume than a cylinder would of the same dimensions. So it's actually 1/3 of that. So let's say that this was 9 cubic, let's say 9 meters cubed. If this was 9 meters cubed, this would be 1/3 of that. This would be 3. If this was 30, this would be 10. So this is going to be 1/3 the volume of a regular cylinder. So whenever if you pretend like this was a cylinder, like this went straight up and had another circular base on top, you just calculate like a cylinder, area base times height, and then just divide that by 3. So that's what we're going to do. So let's say that the radius is 33 inches, and the height is, let's say, 100 inches. So volume equals 1/3 times the base, the area of the base. Well, the area of the base, it's a circular base. So remember, pi r squared, that's going to be the area of the base, times the height. So pi r squared, so it's pi times radius, which is 33 times 33, right? 33 squared, times the height, and then 1/3 of all that. So what you can do, instead of trying to figure out this is a decimal, is 0.3 repeating, what we're going to do is just calculate this first. So don't worry about the 1/3 right now. So 3.14 times 33 times 33 times 100 equals, and then now you want to find 1/3 of that. So just 1/3 means divide by 3, basically. So it is a long number, 113,000. It's pretty big. Okay, 113,982 inches cubed. Okay. All right, now let's say we have, and so sometimes, before I get into the next one here, another example, sometimes what I do is I've rewritten this formula before. As a teacher, I would just say, okay, volume equals area base times height divided by 3. So sometimes I do it that way just so that people can see it's just 1/3 of a cylinder. A cone is much smaller, okay? So basically, 3 cones of that size would equal 1 cylinder of that size, of those dimensions, basically, if you will. All right. Now, let's say you've got some dimensions, and let's say you've got. Sometimes they'll give you the volume right up front, and then they'll give you one of the dimensions, but not the other dimension. So the question is, how do you find out one of those dimensions? Now, I don't really see it in your work, in the work that I'm requiring my students, but let's just say, let's pretend. Let's pretend that they say that the volume is already 100.48 inches cubed. And let's say they gave you the height. Let's make this a little bit more interesting. Let's say the height was 6 inches. But they want to know what the radius is. Okay? So this is going to be, let's see if I can draw this. Okay, it's okay. Not too bad. Okay, don't know what the radius is, right? So we're going to leave that as an R. So this is an R, but we do know the height. The height is 6 inches. Okay, and so what you can do is set up your formula. So volume equals 1/3 of base times height, which is pi r squared times height. So we plug in what we know, times 3.14 times radius times 6. So what you want to do is you want to combine like terms, okay? So we want to multiply these three together. So 1/3, I can do 1/3, I can do 3.14 divided by 3, because that's what 1/3 times that means. It would be 3.14 over 3, or I can do 1/3 of 6. That might be a little bit easier. 1/3 of 6 is 6 over 3, which is just 2, right? It's basically 6 divided by 3 is 2. 2 times 3.14 is 6.28. So we got 6.28 is what all three of those things combined are, times radius equals, oh yeah, that's right, we got our volume already. Volume is 100.48. So now, again, we're trying to find the radius. We've already got the volume, we've got not the height, but we've got 1/3 times pi times 6. We got that number now. We've kind of simplified it as far as we could here. How do I get rid of the 6.28 on that right-hand side of the equation? This is just a two-step equation, basically. Well, the only way to get rid of it is to do the opposite of what's being done to r times r squared. The opposite is instead of multiplying by 6.28, to get rid of it, I got to divide this by 6.28. Because if I divide it by 6.28, I cancel it out. But whatever I do on this side, I must do on the other. All right, I have to keep it balanced. It's an equation. So 100.48. I put my decimal there. Okay. Divide by 6.28 equals 16. So 16 equals r times r. Well, what number times itself equals 16? Well, hopefully you figured it out. It's 4. But just in case, let's say you didn't know that, what you can do is you hit the square root button to find out what r is. So the square root button is right here. Typically it's on your calculator. Hit the square root button and you'll see it's 4. So that means the radius in this situation is going to be 4 inches. Hopefully that helps. Again, I don't think you'll have a question like that, but you never know. You might run into it a little bit later. That's it. That's the volume of a cone. Hopefully I helped in some way, shape, or form. God bless, guys. Godspeed, and I'll catch you in the next video.